Hey y'all, I've been thinking about something because I've heard some people saying some things. That happens to me. I've talked about that before in other videos. I hear things and it triggers all these thoughts in me, and this I'm talking about specifically today pertains to homesteading, but it's really something that applies to everything in your life. It's not just a homesteading topic, but I've heard people saying things like, well, why they homestead. And let me talk about it for a minute. Why do I homestead? I homestead because it's a wonderful way to raise my children. I homestead because it's very important to me to know where my food comes from and to know that it's clean. I homestead because it's expensive to eat real food and feed a large family organic, clean food. And by organic, I'm not talking about certified organic. I'm talking about food that I know is clean and not been used pesticides on. It doesn't have to be certified and not hung up on a label. But anyway, it's a lot of money for our family to eat like that. So it's a lot more cost effective for us to be able to raise our own food and then possibly sell off some of the excess and to kind of recoup some of that money. Why else do I homestead? Because those are all really, really good reasons, and those kind of encompass a lot of why we do what we do. But the number one reason, the absolute number one reason why we homestead is because we love it. It is our passion and it's why we do it. I can't tell you, it's hard to explain like my feeling about homesteading. I can't imagine not homesteading. In fact, when we moved to Florida, the property we moved to didn't have any infrastructure. There was no fencing, there was nothing. We didn't so much as have chickens. It was nearly a year living there. Because we had put a garden in the first year, but it didn't do well. We had my dad got sick in Virginia and we were in Florida and we did a lot of traveling. So the little bit that was coming out of the garden we weren't there to tend it. So the garden was completely just nothing. It was a waste that year. And we didn't have any animals. We had nothing. What had identified us was homesteading for the most part for a lot of years before that. And we came to this point where we didn't have a homestead. We had 2.5 acres. We were there, but we didn't have the funds to put up fencing and we didn't have anything going on. It was really hard. It was a really frustrating and hard time in our life because we so desperately and passionately wanted to be homesteading and we just couldn't. There was nothing that we could personally do to make it happen. We finally were able to get the funds together and put in some fencing and we got some pigs and some chickens, and then it went from there. We got some goats and cows and all of that while we were there, and it was so much better once we were able to do that. We were in a much better place emotionally because it was really hard to not be homesteading when that is what your heart's desire is. And so I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, follow your heart only and do what's right, what makes you feel good and blah blah blah, because the heart can be deceitful and all that. But I firmly believe that God puts passions and desires within you. And when you know that those passions and desires line up with Him and His will, then chase them. Go after them, And for us, that's what this is. We've had this vision. We had a vision of feeding our family healthy food, growing our own meat and growing our own vegetables and having our own dairy. And so we went with it and we followed it and we chased it. And God has opened up all the doors that needed to open, and we have been able to do that. And then we've gotten this bigger vision, and we really feel like it's from Him of expanding that so that we can offer these types of foods to other people, to selling to other people. And that has not come to fruition yet, but we really believe it will. It's just a matter of time. It has on a small scale. We've done pigs as far as that goes. We've sold pigs to people, and we actually have split beef before and things like that. So that's why we do what we do. We do it because we love doing this. I've had people tell me, oh, I don't really like farming. I don't really like farm animals. Gardening is a lot of hard work, but I do it because it's a good thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's a nice thing to do. It's a good way to raise my kids. And it really saddened me. I mean, if that's you and you're farming and you're homesteading and you're not really passionate about it, but you feel like it's what you need to do because it's the right thing to do and a good thing to do, then go ahead, do it. I'm not telling you not to do it, but I'm just telling you maybe you can find some passion in it. Maybe you can find some excitement in it, because it saddens me to think that there's anybody, for one, who doesn't just love this life like I do. But also it saddens me to just think of somebody who's living a life that they don't love, because I go back to that time when I so desperately wanted to be homesteading, when I had been homesteading and then that was all gone and I couldn't for about a year. And it was just really hard. It was a really, really sad and hard and frustrating time for me and my family because we wanted so desperately to be doing that. But if somebody is living this life and they don't love it, then why are they doing it, you know? Are you doing it because you love it, or are you just doing it because it's a good thing to do? I'm not trying to discourage you and tell you to quit, but I'm trying to encourage you to find a passion and excitement and a love for it, because you will be so much happier in life for doing that. Anyway, I just have been thinking about that because I really hate to see people not enjoying their life and not loving what they do and being miserable, or at least not happy with what they're doing. You might not be completely miserable, but they might not be finding fulfillment that they need to be finding in it. So I encourage you to just look for ways to find that fulfillment. Or if there's something else in your life that you are passionate about and you are excited about, then I encourage you to explore that, and maybe you can make a hobby out of something else and still continue to live the lifestyle that you think is the right and a good way to do it, but find something else that you can really get a lot of fulfillment out of, so that you are not just living a life day to day doing things that you don't really want to do. But I encourage you to do what you love out of life. Just life is what you make it for the most part. A lot of times there's circumstances that make life hard. I understand that. I've been there a lot, too much if you ask me. But you really have to choose joy and choose to see the good and the positive and the happy in all of the things that you're trying to do.